Anthony raised his credit score by 300 points while earning under $30,000. Anthony Earl is a star. Not a rock star or a star of stage and screen, but a rising credit star. He's among an estimated 1.5% of Americans who took the necessary steps, sometimes against all odds, to boost their credit score during the Great Recession. In Anthony's case, he actually raised his score by nearly 300 points at a time when we as a country were in the deepest trough of recession. And he did it in part by paying down more than $30,000 in credit card debt, while earning, as he told me, below $30,000 annually, working for the government delivering mail to state facilities in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, normally when someone's consumer debt exceeds more than 50% of their annual income, it becomes very difficult to dig out. But Anthony refused to accept poor credit and mounting credit card bills as a fact of life, and that's why I want to share his story with you. Every day, the 40-something state employee's mail delivery route takes him from Layton to Sandy, straight through the heart of his downtown metro area. A breathtaking view of the snow-capped Wasatch Mountain Range is his constant companion. But life wasn't so picture-perfect for Anthony when he was digging his way out of debt for nearly 5 years. His problems with credit card debt and low credit scores started for perhaps the noblest reason of all, because he chose to help a family member when she needed it most. People end up in debt for all different reasons, and helping a loved one is one of the best I can think of, though the consequences are no less dire just because your heart is in the right place. My sister was separated from her husband, and he was not providing financial support. Every time the state found him and garnished his wages, he would just switch to another job, Anthony says. I stepped in to help, and ended up in a bad way. When my sister's husband finally started supporting her and their children, I had accrued just over $30,000 in credit card debt on a half-dozen cards. Being unmarried with no children himself allowed Anthony to swing the financial commitment to his sister from April 2006 to March 2008, paying for her groceries and utilities. But during that time, the former Army and Navy man who served during Operation Desert Storm was racking up more and more late payments on his own bills. When he checked his credit scores from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, he discovered they averaged out to 512, firmly in the subprime credit category. All of my friends had scores that were in the high 600s to 700s, and they were telling me that I needed a score in the 600s to get a loan for a vehicle, Anthony says. The situation was depressing because I did not know exactly how to improve my credit score, so I could not get a new vehicle loan. Anthony continues to drive his old beat-up 1998 Ford Ranger with 121,000 miles on it and a rebuilt transmission. After listening to my radio show, he quickly formulated a plan that he put into action starting in May 2008. He began throwing the bulk of his money at the credit cards with the highest interest rates first, while still making more than the minimum payment on his other cards. But he made a few critical errors along the way. When I had one card paid off, I would then cancel that card, and then proceed in the same pattern with the next card, Anthony says. Ouch! I was stabbing myself in the back by doing this. My debt-to-credit ratio would jump to about 90% after I canceled the paid-off card. This is a classic mistake and twofer that's really easy for most people to correct. 30% of your credit score is keeping a low credit utilization rate. So each time Anthony canceled a card, he reduced his available credit and actually raised the percentage of the credit he was using. Meanwhile, another 15% of a credit score is keeping lines of credit open. Between the two, that's almost half of your credit score right there. That's why I always tell people to resist the temptation to cancel a credit card when they've paid the balance down to zero. It's better to keep it open and use it for small charges twice a year. Anthony also had some sporadic late payments that were dragging his score down, so he came up with a very old-school solution to address that problem. I started sending all of my payments USPS priority mail so I could track when they arrived, and I charged myself so that I was positively sending every payment.